is back in style.
Now we turn our attention to the second European indoor event this week. Another strong field as the IBM ATP Tour visits Lyon. The city plays host to the 76th stop on the IBM ATP Tour. The Grand Prix de Tennis de Lyon has been won by Pete Sampras for the past 3 years. Despite his absence this week, the crowds at the Palais de Sport were awaiting the return to the tour of former #1 Jim Courier. The American appears to be focused again and is realistic about the future.
My goals are much more long-term, but I'm certainly pleased with the way I'm playing, and every day is getting a little better.
Amongst the seeds, Wayne Ferreira, who's won his last 3 tournaments. And Kafelnikov is looking to capture his 4th title this year. Top seed Andrei Medvedev, subdued by a knee injury, is looking to regain his form. And big-hitting Marc Rosset. He won his first indoor title here in 1990. Victory this week could lift his ranking to a career high.
Only 2 of the seeds made it through to the semi-final. Andrei Chesnikov was pitted against Courier, who's still looking for his first title of '94. Just 1 break was enough in the first set for Jim, for whom France is fast becoming home from home. He spent a month here prior to the Lyon tournament. His ground strokes working with their usual power and efficiency. Courier took the first set 6-3, but in the second, Chesnikov began to counter decisively and went to break up. But breaks were 2 a penny in the second set. There were no alarms for Courier, though, as he stepped up to serve for the match. The familiar bludgeoning Courier forehand in good working order again. He was into his second final of '94. Injuries have severely cut back Andrei Medvedev's tennis this year, and he had a tough semi against the mighty Rosset. That wonderful improvised volley gave Rosset a break for 2-love in the first set, and he was forcing Medvedev to make some spectacular passes. And Rosset wasn't the only man out there giving the Ukrainian problems. The French umpire Lionel Lascar's intervention was the last thing Medvedev needed.
Third violation, unreasonable delay, warning is for Medvedev.
After that, Medvedev steadily lost concentration, and Rosset went into cruise control. Rosset, the champion in Lyon 4 years ago, was into the final looking energized and confident. The final then sure to be a war of massive hitting, and it was Courier who threatened to take first blood. Courier gaining a break point here in the 5th game. Rosset's intensity was a revelation, and his strength off the ground was more than a match for the American. Also, of course, there was the nagging problem. What can you do when he serves like this? That was the first set gone 6-4. And Rosset's astonishing mobility for a man of just over 2 meters, that's 6'7", brought gasps from the crowd. It took a tie-break to settle the second set. Rosset playing as well as at any stage in his career, champion in Lyon for the second time.
Last year, winning Lyon meant winning a diamond tennis ball worth $1 million.
Sampras won it last year for the third year in a row, and the ruling was then that a player winning 3 times out of 5 would keep the trophy, which is exactly what Sampras did. He decided to present it to the Arthur Ashe Foundation. It was all very well handled and very discreet, and very much to his credit.
And so, time for a new trophy, and one that's equally striking.
It's derived from the tennis player, the movement of the tennis ball, and the city of Lyon, which also means lion. The winner will be a sort of king, as in the king of the animal kingdom. So that's the whole context for it, the city and the player as a king.
But it's not easy to wax lyrical about every trophy.
When I was younger, I was given a coffee pot, which was a little bit odd, but considering I don't drink coffee.
But I got a sheepskin, which was interesting. It's still rolled up in my closet. They gave me 60 bottles of wine. I had built a wine cellar, and I was hoping to get some wine somewhere along the line, and they helped me.
It couldn't be more of a contrast to the fast lane of the tour, but Waterford Island is where the ultimate trophy is born. It's here that molten glass is brought to life, becoming the cutter's canvas as he lends line and form to a designer's dream. The engraver's meticulous eye and steady hand add the finishing touches. A Waterford crystal bowl that passes from the hands of craftsmen to the arms of a champion. The IBM ATP Tour World Championship winner.
So who will be the contenders for Frankfurt 1994? Sampras, Ivanisevic and Bruguera are confirmed, but there are still 5 places to be filled over the next 3 weeks. Agassi looks strong, but there's plenty of competition out there. Boris Becker, the champion 2 years ago, looked all set to make it to Frankfurt last year, but was edged out in the final run-in. He's determined the same thing won't happen again this year. 1994 has seen a different kind of player emerge. Marriage and fatherhood have changed the perspective of this temperamental talent.
Tennis is not the most important thing in the world for me. You know, of course, I'm going to give it 110%, but I think I'm much calmer on the tennis court than I was before, and that's due to my family.
Boris Becker, a unique hero. Will he have more heroics in store for us in Frankfurt?
Wayne Ferreira is one of 12 players in reach of an Elite 8 position at Frankfurt, We caught up with him earlier this year on the golf course at home in South Africa and asked him whether it was realistic for him to qualify for the World Championship in November.
I think so. I'm having a steady year so far. I don't see why not. I mean, I was there before. I can get back. Just a matter of keeping up what I'm doing and maybe even improve things a little bit more. I think if I can do that, then I have a really good chance.
And since our last meeting, that's exactly what he's done. For the past 3 months, Ferreira has been working hard to improve his strength and fitness on the court by adopting a more rigorous training routine. Through this, he's realized how past performances have been hindered by his unsatisfactory physical condition.
A lot of the problem that I had was the fitness side. I used to play matches and I used to get really tired and I used to try and finish points quicker because I didn't want to have to, carry running around and play another one. And it's different feeling now going on the court and playing and not getting tired. Every time I finish a long point, I'm totally recovered for the next one.
So what's the reason for this new regime? In addition to his coach Chris Johnson, Ferreira has enrolled the help of physical trainer Walt Landers. How does Polish-born Landers see his role in Ferreira's new schedule?
Coach usually working more on technical parts with tennis players, and my job is a little bit different. I'm trying to complete all the fitness, what is including nutrition and recovery, what is including stretching, massage.
Landers puts Ferreira through a series of physically demanding drills as part of his daily training routine. But what exactly is the thinking behind the program?
All the drills on the court, what we do today, is important to building exactly the same muscles which you're using when you're playing the match. I believe fitness and footwork is helping also play better because footwork is connected with position, how you're keeping the ball.
Putting this into practice has brought Ferreira great reward since first working with Landers prior to Indianapolis in August.
Indianapolis was great for me because it was the first one that I'd been with Walt, and I did feel a big difference in the way that I felt, just in my body, in the way that I played. And then after that, I mean, it's just been one after the other. It's been absolutely great.
Consecutive victories in Bordeaux, Basel and Tel Aviv brought Ferreira's tally of tournament successes to 5 this year, a feat exceeded only by Michael Chang and Walt's former pupil Pete Sampras. But just how long could he sustain his current form? In Lyon this week, Ferreira's run of success was brought to an end by Swiss ace Marc Rosset in the quarter-finals. He's still in contention for a place in Frankfurt, though, and he knows what it's like to get there. He was the reserve in 1992, and he's doing his best to qualify in 94.
So I guess I have as much chance as anyone else. Depends, it depends on how I carry on playing. I have a couple tournaments still to go, but I have a lot of points to get. If I don't make it, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Also this week, the IBM ATP Tour was back in the Far East. The second Salem Open in Beijing played to the biggest crowds ever to watch tennis in China. The Pied Piper of Asian tennis, Michael Chang, had once again made it to the final. Up against him, the Swede, Anders Jared, in his first final of the year. Chang's astonishing speed was quickly in evidence. But Yared's exquisite touch on the volley occasionally left even the dynamic Chang with no chance. The 5,500 crowd was strongly on Chang's side, even more so after this mind-blowing rally. Two extraordinary instinctive volleys from the American. Jared visibly stunned. Chang went on to break him and take the set 7-5. Gary did what he could to resist the onslaught, occasionally getting spectacular results. Here's a shot to delay any thoughts of retirement. But Chang simply wouldn't be denied. The tougher the rally, the more he enjoyed it. Chang, the winner of his 6th title in 1994 and the 7th of his career in Asia.
In the Beijing doubles, the first-time pairing of Tommy Ho and Ken Kinnear defeated the #1 seeds Adams and Olchowski. In Vienna, the coach-player combination of Mike Bauer and David Rickel captured their 2nd title together. Whilst in Lyon, Klesik and Kafelnikov made another victorious first-time pairing. There's 4 weeks to go until the IBM ATP Tour World Doubles Championship in Indonesia, and the final spots are still waiting to be filled. Here's how they stand at the moment. At number 5, Adams and Olchowski's appearance in the final in Beijing means they'll be confirming their tickets. And last year's champions Elting and Harhouse sticking out at number 1. They'll be tough to beat. Well, now for a look at the singles rankings. Indestructible Anders, the semi-finalist in Lyon, the big Swiss on a roll. Jim's aiming for the top again. Ukrainian back up. Into the 10. Andre moves higher and higher. The rest stay the same. And the news is Pete's back on track, playing his first tournament since the US Open. Here's the tour's greatest crowd puller, and now he's turning up the heat. With a 4th tournament victory this year, Andre Agassi is back into the top 10 and closer to a place at the tour's most prestigious event. He was the winner in Frankfurt in its inaugural year, 1990. Can he do it again?
The tour stages its final Super 9 event of the year, featuring only the biggest names in the business. Paris beckons. Andre puts on his shirt and drops in for a chat. And we meet someone who studies the game in a different way, the stats man. To Paris, one of the world's most beautiful capital cities.
Welcome to Paris, where for the 2nd week in a row, 14 of the top 15 players are in action.
is the last of the year's Super 9 events, and a chance for those who've already qualified for the ATP Tour World Championship to take life easier. The Stockholm finalists can afford to put last week's rivalry to one side. But for others, like last year's World Championship winner Michael Stich, it's crunch time. He occupied the last of the 8 qualifying positions going into Paris and would need a good run to fend off the other challengers. His second-round opponent was home favourite Lyon. It was to be a stern task for the German. A break in the 9th game of the second set meant that Roux was serving for the match. It was a triumph for the youngster, but disaster for the number 3 seed. He'd fallen at the first hurdle and squandered valuable qualifying points.
I don't worry about it. I can't change it now. I just have one more tournament to go, and I got to try to play better than here. And I just try to win a couple of matches, and that's it. Nothing more I can do. And if I don't make the Masters, it's unfortunate, but I still could live with it.
Everything seems to have gone wrong for Jim Courier in 1994. This time last year, he'd already made it to Frankfurt. Now he needed to turn back the clock to have any chance of qualifying. Doubles expert Mark Woodford stood in Jim's way, the sort of opponent a Courier at his prime would have brushed aside. The net has never been Courier's territory, and his unhappy run continued as he went down to the Australian in straight sets.
That's why we keep playing, even when we're down. We keep playing hard to, I do to see if it'll come back. I had my chances, I took them, and it didn't work out today.
The unmistakable hot shoe shuffle of Stefan Edberg. But would the Swede get cold feet when it comes to Frankfurt? A tough draw saw him up against dangerous floater Peter Korda in his first match. Korda, firing on all cylinders, is a man to avoid, and this was him at his pumped-up best. Too good for Stefan in 3 sets. But one man who had no such trouble in the early stages was showman supreme Andre Agassi. He says that the game needs a new rivalry to capture the public's imagination.
Who the rivalry needs to be is tough for me to say. I mean, I know Pete's number 1 right now, and he's in a place that I want to be. So when I get there, and it's going to be hopefully an opportunity for us to fight for it, and that would be nice for me.
And nice for everyone in tennis. The only non-seed left in the quarterfinals was Korda, who'd beaten Kafelnikov as well as Edberg. Paris Open on quarterfinals day. What a spectacle. The match between Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras produced incredible tennis. The world number 1 versus the man most likely to challenge him. Agassi won the first set on a tiebreak. Sampras responded. The guys left nothing in the locker. They came prepared to scrap, and the tennis took off. The return and pass, Agassi's bread and butter. And he was spanking the ball. Check out the backhand laser beam to end this rally. No one can defend against that. Absolute poetry. At 4-5 in the second set, Sampras looked defeat straight in the face. The man showed his heart. The French knew it. They were watching something special. And it got even better. Agassi was a constant threat, but Sampras just refused to buckle. Rarely has a match so obviously resembled a physical fight. It felt as though Agassi was the man most likely to deliver a fatal blow. Earrings, odd socks and long hair, yes. But he carries it off because he's a natural-born winner. Sampras at match point down again.
Good. Second match.
Agassi through.
Agassi.
A contest both men and 12,000 fans will remember. The fans will remember this one too. Michael Chang into a deciding third-set tiebreak with Goran Ivanisevic, the Cannon. It's tempting to feel sympathy for Chang, but going head-to-head with the big boys is what Chang does best. His weapons are speed and quickness. At 4-4 in the breaker, he used them. Chang served it out at 6-4. Chang had conquered, and the victory proved to be enough to make him one of the Elite 8 at the World Championship.
So Agassi takes out the world #1 and progresses to the semi-final. The Las Vegan is the form man of the moment, having claimed the US Open crown in September and the Vienna title last month. He's playing the best tennis of his career.
I couldn't be hitting the ball better. Started off the year pretty strong, but then had a rough clay court season. And I didn't start playing well to the end of the summer, but then picked up my game quite quickly and managed to be in the running for Frankfurt, which I'm very pleased about. I'm really, I think, now on the road to maximizing, my ability, and there's some satisfaction, a lot of comfort in that.
Andre has certainly benefited from the intervention of Brad Gilbert. Gilbert has been coaching Agassi since the spring of this year, and the results speak for themselves.
Well, I think Brad's strengths have always tended to be my weaknesses. I don't think he ever had really the game that people would say, this guy can be one of the best in the world for his whole career, but he managed to be top 10, top 15 most of his career, and because of the way he thought on the court, and he really was efficient and maximized his ability. And I think that mine's been quite opposite. I think I've been ranked in the top in the world in spite of myself, quite honestly. So I think his addition to my career has been absolutely crucial, and I think in the long run that'll work in my favor.
Thanks to his performances in Paris this week, Agassi has booked his place for Frankfurt. He knows what it takes to win there. He did that in 1990. So, who does he think will take the crown this year?
I'm hoping that I will. And I'm playing well, and I feel like it's very possible for me too. Pete is probably the favorite, I would just say, but he hasn't played so much, so these next few weeks are going to be crucial for him too. I could go through everybody in the draw and say that, they have a good shot at winning it. Maybe minus Beresategi, if he makes it, he doesn't seem to like playing on those faster surfaces.
At the Paris Open, Switzerland's Marc Rosset upset Boris Becker in 2 tiebreak sets to set up a semi-final with Chang. In the top half, it was Sergi Bruguera versus Andre Agassi, a man with only 1 loss since the beginning of September, and that after having match point against Ivanisevic in Stockholm. Sergi Bruguera is the best defensive player in the game. Could Agassi break down the rock-solid foundations of the Spaniard's ground strokes? The American claimed the first set 6-4 and looked good in the second. Agassi in charge. But Bruguera wasn't done. He wouldn't want to get in the way of one of his passing shots. Bruguera is so hard to put away. He's fit. We join this rally on the 20th shot. He deserved a week off after running that much. Serving for the match, Agassi was breakpoint down.